What's the stupidest way you've hurt yourself? I once went on my balcony to smoke a cigarette, only I forgot there was no balcony anymore because it was getting fixed. So I broke my leg falling one story down. Now the real irony was, my mother wanted to fix the balcony because it was old and she was afraid it might break off and I might hurt myself. In high school I was showing off with a staple gun and accidentally stapled myself in the chest. Then, when telling the story later, picked up a staple gun to demonstrate and accidentally did it again. I'm not a clever person. At least you were consistent with your storytelling. Exactly like this. Ah fuck. Did you scream like a bitch the first time too? Fuck you, Larry. This shit hurts. I can't believe you've done this. I was being attacked by aliens in a dream. When they backed me into a corner I kicked one hard in the head. I woke up immediately in pain. I had just kicked my wall in real life. Badly sprained my ankle. Couldn't walk properly for a week. Wow. Most of the responses here sound more painful than stupid, but your one must've made you feel pretty silly afterwards, haha. Yeah, I really did. When the doctor asked, how did you do this then? I felt like a proper numpty. But, I still told him I kicked that alien. Well, I'll be sure to kick him again for you in about a month/s. I've sneezed and had a sharp neck pain for a week after. This has happened more than once. I threw my back out sneezing once. That was not fun. Herniated discs in my back sneezing too forcefully apparently. Alright, so my sister is only 1 year older than me, and when we were very young, me 3 and her 4, we were in the bath together. I guess my mom thought this way was easier. She left to get something, and my sister said that I should dive into the tub like a dolphin. Me, being the idiot toddler I was, decided this was a wonderful idea and I've written. Had to get 3 or 4 stitches and a lifetime of stories told about it. I can hear the bunk from here. I can hear the aunts and uncles at Christmas from here. I was finishing up this intense jigsaw puzzle, which was on a low table, so I spent the entire night crouching on the balls of my feet. The next morning, my right foot turned purple and swelled up to the size of a large orange. I was on crutches for a couple of weeks. Wow. Never thought of puzzling as an extreme sport before. I should warn my retirement-aged mother. I know it sounds very Looney Tunes, but I actually stepped on the head of a rake once, and the handle hit me in the face. Annoyed sideshow Bob groan. Ick. I was 8 years old and running home on my lunch break so that I could watch Inspector Gadget, which came on at noon. I decided it would be neat to look down at my feet while I ran, and next thing I know I've run full speed into a parked car. I think I laid like a dead body on the road for a good 5-10 minutes. It hurt so badly. I was late for my Inspector Gadget episode and never told anyone what happened. I thought I had nothing to add, but your stupid self-injury reminded me of mine. I was about 13, riding my bike home, full speed, after buying the newest release of Teen Beat, Teen Girl Heartthrob magazine. I was riding through a plaza, not in the parking lot, but in the walkway. A woman opened the door to the Family Dollar, right in the collarbone. Thrown off my bike, and had to go to the Irvine ambulance. My boy band pics had to wait. Just realized I have one for me too. When I was in like middle school I was shaving my legs, and then I brought the razor up to put it back on the shelf, and I held it too close to my body and I cut my nipple open. Hurt so bad. Didn't tell my parents or see a doctor, just had a swollen cut nipple for a while. OMG, I did this too. I didn't tell anyone. It's been 2 years but it still hurts when I shower. I shaved my legs for the first time without anyone knowing, and I shaved about an inch of skin off my shin and I didn't scream or yell because no one knew what I was doing. And now you can't see even notice it after 25+ years of sun on my legs. I shaved my legs and I always used to shave a little too hard, and I would always skin a little bit of my ankle off. It always hurt like hell, and I couldn't figure out why my razor was doing it. Turns out I'm just stupid. Anyone who has been a teenage girl and says they haven't done this is just lying. Jumped from the roof of our house when I was 10 to see if it hurts or I'll survive. When I landed it was like an electric shock on my feet. Edit. I survived and yes it was stupid, but when you are a child you tend to brag anything to your friends so yeah. Did hurt like hell though. I did the same thing, except I used an umbrella instead of parachute, and when my friend asked, does it hurt, I said no, so that he does the same. That's hilarious but also terrible. When I was 13 I was walking down my street and there was a bee that landed on me right under my eye. In a brilliant move I brain farted and punched myself in the face trying to swat it away. My sister did a version of this. She swung a loaded shopping bag at a wasp, which was flying between her and my mother. Missed the wasp, but not my mother, who had no idea what was going on, and just thought my sister had lost her shit, and whacked her with a heavy shopping bag out of pure spite. So my mum rolled up her sleeves and set about my sister whilst I walked on as though I had never seen either of them in my life before. Pure power move by you. Pure power move by mom. I gave myself a black eye in my sleep. Rolled into the corner of the nightstand. I had a dream one night where the very end of it had me jump off a cliff. Cue a Willy E. Coyote second of time dilation, where I realized I was now off the side of my bed, about to start heading down. I hit the floor, to find us wrapped my neck in the tubing for my CPAP. Almost hanged myself. My brother was teasing me while I was doing homework. Think I was maybe 8 or 9 at the time, and after a few minutes, I snapped. Took my pencil and went to jab him with the eraser end, so as to not hurt him too badly and get him to shut up. To get a bit more force behind it, I decided to wrap my index finger over the other end, the end with the point. I'm sure you can guess what happened next. A lot of crying and a trip to the emergency room later. I had a pencil point being removed from my finger. Reminds of the video of that fellow who tried to open a beer bottle with a bamboo skewer by smacking it in the bottom with his hand. That mental image made my whole body cringe. When I was 5, I was rushed to the ER twice in the same week. First I slid down the banister as the door below swung open, and I crashed headfirst into the corner of the door. Then 3 days later I was playing on the radiator, slipped off, and smashed my head again. Doctors thought my parents were abusive and there was an investigation over it. Apparently, my brother was so accident prone as a child. Still is, actually. It started with stupid stuff as a baby. Ate a bulb from a poisonous plant while in his walker. Fell off the deck at the babysitter's house. Young cousin was bouncing him on her knee and he tipped forward and hit the coffee table and just progressed from there. Lots of stitches, a couple of broken bones, a concussion. There was definitely one doctor's visit where he was separated from my parents, who were also separated from each other, and all were questioned. He is really just that clumsy/unlucky. My husband has decided, in hindsight, that it is because his feet are easily a size 13 and he is less than 6 foot tall. He practically has skis for feet. Your brother is a born clown. Hit myself in the hand with a hatchet. It was so cold I didn't notice until I looked down and saw the blood. When I was a kid I was chopping wood, missed the log, and went straight into my rain boot. Oh hey, for me it was my knee. I was super lucky, since I didn't need stitches and I didn't cut any muscles. I no longer have a toenail, because the garbage was too heavy. I was taking the garbage out in sandals, but the garbage bag was too heavy to carry, so I put it on my skateboard and rolled it down to the street. The tip of the skateboard lodged under my big toenail and ripped it off 3 full rows later. I just don't have a toenail on my big toe anymore. For all you freaks who want to see it, kind of gross I guess. Imgur.com. I appreciate you answering this, but I'd still rather not have read that. I concur. When I was about 16, I was telling some story to my sister's boyfriend. I was rather animated about it and began to flail my arms about until I hit the glass fixtures of our ceiling fan and showered glass upon myself. Part of the glass cut around my nose and I began to rain blood. Was left with a nice scar and a decent story about situational awareness while speaking. Not about me but someone who sat next to me in a class a while ago. She was clipping her toenails and a big toenail flew up and hit her in the eye and she had to go to the doctor cause it cut her eye. So she has a bandaged eye for a while lol. That's some karma right there for clipping toenails in class. She did it at home. I just heard the story when I asked her about it. One of the worst injury stories to tell. Drank from a glass bottle while walking. Knocked out a piece of my tooth. Also knocked out the S in glass. That's the partial lisp from one missing tooth. I was listening to music while getting ready to cook dinner and decided to use the frying pan as a mic. Did one of those look away from the mic to take a breath moments only to turn back dramatically at a powerful lyric and hit myself in the face with the pan. I wonder if I can jump high enough to hit the door frame with my head. Happened 6 years and 3+ days ago. Was home alone early afternoon. Believed I was home alone. But then I heard a noise that I thought was inside the house. No one else should be home but me, so I was spooked. I crept out and listened for movement and thought I heard a voice downstairs. I tried to sneak down the stairs, but only made it to the first step. By the second step my heel slipped out from under me, and I planted hard on the step and slid down to the last 3 steps, finally able to stop. My shoulder was sore trying to save myself on the rail. My back is beat to hell from hitting all the steps down. My tailbone is pulsing nothing but pain. Trying to get up made it worse. Nothing felt broken. I was able to get up after a minute or so and baby step around the corner where I found the source. It was my neighbors talking in their backyard and brother had his window open allowing it to carry into the house. For 5 years, if I sat longer than an hour my tailbone/coccyx hurt. Watching movies, which I love, was always troublesome. I got seat cushions for it that I couldn't go without at home. About 7 months ago it just stopped. No more pain. Edit. From another comment about it. A few months after the incident I was diagnosed with kidney failure and was on dialysis for a month shy of 5 years when I got a kidney transplant. Throughout my whole sickness I talked about the injury with doctors, had scans, and of course detailed look, because of the transplant. No fractures were found. At worst, I had a mini fracture. At best, the excess fluid was exacerbating it. After the transplant I've taken it as a strong possibility that it finally healed thanks to no excess fluid hanging around. One of the small reasons I opted for peritoneal dialysis over hemodialysis. Real talk, check your posture. I took a heavy injury to my coccyx in my mid-teens. My body compensated by tilting my pelvis forward, which then caused the lower third of my back to essentially freeze. It doesn't hurt, but over time the risk of back injury only increases. Worth getting yourself checked by a physio if you can. I tried to throw a dart into the bullseye on a dartboard that was on the floor, but threw the dart right into my left foot instead. I went to take a plate of Totino's pizza rolls out of the microwave. The plate was so fucking hot that I dropped it. Molten cheese bounced up and was burning through my ankle. I went to stick my foot in the sink to run it under cold water, as if I'm flexible enough to stand on one foot and get my leg up that high. I fell backwards and cracked my head like an egg. I had a 3rd-degree burn on my ankle, 2nd-degree burn on my fingers and 6 staples to the dome. 4 fucking pizza rolls at age 30. Buried at the bottom, so I'm safe. I was at work in a high-stress office complex in Virginia. The work made you eat quickly and often at your desk. I was eating a baby carrot and tortilla chips when all of a sudden I get stabbed with the edge of a chip midway chewing a carrot. Blood all down my throat. The chip was sharp and I turned blue choking on baby carrots. Good times nearly getting killed by a chip and a carrot. Learn to slow down when eating. I was leaning over a fence post trying to bend straight and a light just miss it and bent. Only rather than use the claw of the hammer, I used the face of the head of the hammer, slipped off and smashed myself in the forehead. A good 15 years later, and I still have a scar on my forehead like a shit Harry Potter. As a kid I saw a rabbit on the other side of a fence, so I tried to climb over, knowing full well it was hot wire. Naturally I fell off the wood between the wires and damn near electrocuted myself when I fell onto the wire. Never did get a hold of that stupid rabbit. That pesky wabbit. As a security guard I was running to deal with an issue and my flashlight came out of its pouch, went between my foot and the ground, stepped on it and broke my ankle. Paul Blart? Take your pick. 1. I burned the shit out my hand on a go-kart muffler trying to help the neighborhood kid push it out of a ditch. Ended up with a blister 4 inches high on my palm. 2. I was running through the house, on tile, with socks. Inevitably I slipped, and had to catch myself on the couch. Unfortunately I got my finger stuck between the cushions. Broke my finger. Both of these happened in the same year. As a kid I once wanted to shave myself just like my dad did. It's kinda obvious what happened next. Blood everywhere. I still have a scar on my face. You are not alone in this. I used grandpa's razor. Never met anyone who survived cutting their own head off before. Anybody who has TMG knows you can aggravate it in the stupidest ways. When I was in high school I was eating an apple and my jaw completely froze as I was taking a bite. The apple was just hanging from my mouth suspended by my teeth. I looked like a horse with brain damage. I had to get my dad to extract the apple from my mouth. It hurt like a bitch for a long time. I couldn't chew or talk properly for months and my entire face was crooked because my jaw was stuck off to one side. It healed eventually, but later I set it off again by eating a cookie. I once set it off by yawning too wide. It sometimes goes off on its own for no reason. I wish I knew what it was like to have a working jaw.